Hey there, welcome to the National Post Speakeasy. I'm Marie Danielle Smith and this is John Iveson. We're at the Metropolitan Brasserie in Ottawa. We've been watching some little dissensions in the caucuses here on Parliament Hill. Maxime Bernier backing down from publishing his book this week. What do you think about all that?
Well, what was of interest to me was that at the same time as Bernier was in dispute, let's say, with his leadership over the book, a book in which he criticised the way that Andrew Scheer won the leadership. At the same time, the Liberals were disciplining Scott Simms, who was the chair of the Fisheries Committee. He was no longer the chair of the Fisheries Committee after he voted against the summer jobs attestation. He felt that the government had gone too far with this thing. The government had made it a whipped vote because it was related to abortion in their eyes. I think Scott Simms is not particularly pro-life, but he just thought the government had gone too far. Anyway, in one instance, it seems that peer pressure forced Max Bernier to step down. He was not whipped. He did not lose his critic position, for example. Whereas on the other side, the Liberals demoted Scott Simms and actually cracked the whip to maintain this party discipline. I thought it was interesting in that it says something about where the respective parties are in the run-up to the next election. You know, it's always different. One side's in government, one side's in opposition. You're more relaxed when you're in opposition. You don't have the same sticks and carrots that governments have. But it does send the message to me that the Liberals are a bit nervous about fidgeting on the backbench. We saw it with the small business tax. There was some dissent. There was a little bit of bubbling of dissent on the gun law, where some rural Liberals thought there wasn't enough consultation. Now they've done this. I think they're sending out a message: we're heading into an election, there will be no dissent. Whereas the Conservatives, they're heading into an election, they're united. They don't need to crack the whip.
Right, because it turned out to be sort of a collective shaming that made Max change his mind.
Right. I mean, I buy the idea, which is what the leadership is saying and what Max is saying, that he was not told that he had to pull this book, that he did it of his own volition. But it was because the people around him in the caucus were saying to him, you know, this is offside, it's irresponsible, and you're creating a stink in caucus.
And he's facing no disciplinary action, whereas with the NDP, what we saw was over the same Canada Summer Jobs vote, Dave Christopherson was demoted, and then they walked that back and actually put him back in the position.
So that's the worst of all possible worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that just suggests that the NDP don't know what they're doing. The new people in the leader's office and the leader himself are not familiar enough with the caucus to know what they can get away with, and to impose a restriction and then pull back from it does not speak well of them, I don't think.
So we'll have a lot to watch over the next year leading up to the next election. Thanks for joining us on the Speakeasy.